Welcome to the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of the community so we can take action.
Welcome to Community Pulse, where here we try to bring the pulse back to the community. Today, I have somebody special in the studio with me. But before I introduce her, I want to just give this warning. Today, we may talk about suicide. And if anybody you know, or if you yourself may have any thoughts, remember, help is always just a text or a phone call away by dialing 988. Today in the studio with me, I have a very special guest. She is dynamic in the community. She's a phoenix that rose from the ashes, and now she's just spreading love and joy, peace, and harmony everywhere that she can. She takes care of so many families out here in the Chicagoland area, and she traveled across the U.S. to spread awareness and even more love and joy. Today, I would like to introduce Miss Elizabeth Gerald. How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
I just came up with that. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm feeling pretty well.
Good.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
If you can you tell our audience a little bit about your organization?
Okay. The name of my organization is MJG Movement. It's in honor of my daughter, Marcie, who did died by suicide as a result of a sexual assault. So as a parent, I turn my pain into my power, because you either have two choices. Either you sit home and you do nothing, and a lot of times when you sit home and do nothing, you end up sick. A lot of people, with cancer or different things, or you have to get up and try to figure out a way to help others through this.
So instead of sitting in that pain, you decided to turn it into power and empower other people.
Yep.
That's love. That's love. Before we get started and get too deep into things, can you tell us a little bit about Marcie?
Yes. Okay. So Marcie was a average, teenage girl. She went to Parker in Flossmoor, and she liked to cook. She liked to go to the movies. Liked to hang out with her friends. Like to do things, all teenage girls like to do, cheerleading. She was smart, just a typical, teenage girl.
Yeah. What was Marcie one of her favorite meals? What was one of her favorite meals?
Well, she used to like to make the, I think strawberry cheesecakes. Actually, my son was talking about that the other day. She used to make those a lot. But her favorite meal was lamb chops and jasmine rice.
Oh, talk to me now. Hey.
To grill them, just always grilling lamb chops and jasmine rice with the vegetables on the side, broccoli with cheese on it. So,
that sounds delicious. I'm pretty sure she got the skill from you.
Yeah.
You good with those hands.
Yeah.
All right. And you said she was a cheerleader as well?
Mm-hmm.
That's love.
Honor roll student. She had graduated in high school. It would have been HF.
Okay. And around how old was she when she left us?
Okay, so she was 14 when she was sexually assaulted. She was actually sexually assaulted coming home from Parker. And she was 15 when she left.
So it started a little bit earlier, before her transition.
Yeah, so what essentially happened was there was a guy who wasn't even supposed to be in Flossmoor. I don't know how he got out here or nothing, but he had gotten out of IDOC, which is the Illinois Department of Corrections. And when he got out, he was from, like the Chicago Heights, Glenwood. He knew all the Harvey type areas. So, when he was out here, I don't know when he saw her or how long he had been watching her. Well, when he caught her by herself coming home is when he, attacked her.
So it seemed like he'd been watching her for a while.
I think so, yeah. I don't know how long, though, because he just never really told us any of that. But he had been watching her, and then when my son and nobody was with her, is when he was able to get her.
Walking home from school. So, what happened after that incident occurred?
After that incident, what essentially happened was the Flossmoor police had came to get me and let me know there had been an accident. And, first thing you think is maybe a car accident because we're right here on Kedzie. And I thought maybe she had got hit by a car or something. And, once you get to the hospital and they're telling you that a CARES nurse is coming and, I didn't know what a CARES nurse was at that time. And then they told me what it was. And, I started freaking out then. And she's crying, and then I didn't know what to do as a parent because her father had died in 2010. Her stepbrother, her brother, my stepson, he was actually murdered fighting over a girl in 2008. And so my husband grieved himself to death. So watching him grieve himself to death, and I had to go through this by myself. So it was a rough time for me as well. And I think prayer is what got me through it, because the first thing came to my mind is, I am going to kill him. I didn't know who he was at that time, but it was just anger and rage. I just saw red, and I had to kind of cool it because of her.
So you was already dealing with trauma from past incidents that's been happening. You had the loss of your husband, and you said that he grieved himself to death due to an incident that occurred before that.
Yeah, his son was killed in Chicago Heights, fighting over a girl, and I guess the girl was much older. Actually, it was a woman. She was my son was Zach was 24, and the young man who shot him was 18, and the woman was like almost 40, and she was supposed to have been pregnant. I don't know to this day if she was ever pregnant. I don't know whose baby it was, but she was kind of playing them each, and when they're young, they don't listen. And so the other guy actually seen Zach leaving, and then they got into a fight, and then a young man went and got his father's gun, came back and shot him in his head over her. And
wow. So you was grieving the death of your stepson, grieving the death of your husband, and then now this happens to Marcie, walking home from school. One of the things that hit me when you was telling the story is that, and I know you haven't finished yet, but the police called it an accident.
When they first came, they didn't tell me what it was till we got to the hospital. So when they first came to get me, I guess, they don't want to say, well, your daughter, what happened. They just said it's been an accident. And, so when you say it's been an accident, the first thing you think is, like I said, maybe she got hit by a car, not watching, cross the street or something, because that's the only thing I could think of. And so, I'm ready to run out the door thinking she had got hit, maybe a broken bone or something.
And for the people that don't know what CARES is, do you mind explaining a little bit before that, a little bit of that before we go back into the story?
So they are the team who work with sexual assault and domestic violence victims because they're handled differently. They have to do, they have to work with the police departments, and they have to do an actual kit to get the, the semen and stuff out and, put it up for the police. And then they're the ones that actually have to, so it's a whole process. When you're sexually assaulted, they give you shots for STDs, and they give you pills, and then it's anti-AIDS pills they give you to prevent AIDS. Then they give you all kind of shots for STDs and STIs. And then they have to take pictures of the body of bruises, and then, the swabs and everything, and then they work closely with the police department.
Okay. All right. So the nurse came in with the CARES kit, right? And then what happened after that?
After they examined her, and she was done there, because that was like an all-day thing, the police department, the detectives took us back to the police station, and they had us there. And then they would, we had to sit there. They did their report. They talked to her, and they did their report, but then they told us to just sit and wait until the state's attorney came, because they wanted to get their part done too. And so the state's attorney came to us, and they interviewed her as well. The police did get the guy, and he never denied he did it or nothing. He was just like, I don't know, he blamed her. It was like, well, if you wasn't so beautiful, I couldn't help myself. And I don't know if he was playing like something was wrong with him, or if there's something really wrong with him or something, because he had been in jail before. And a lot of times when you've been in jail, you kind of know how to play games and know what to say and stuff as well.
Did they catch him the same day? Right
They
after
called him right away because he couldn't really go somewhere. So they found him because he was already in the system because he was on parole.
Oh, wow.
He had just got out of IDOC, so they caught him.
Wow. So they caught him, and he blamed her for looking too good.
I mean, it wasn't even like he looked at her as a young kid. I don't know. They ended up saying that he was MR during the courts, which stood for mentally retarded. But somehow in his mind, he thought maybe that, she was going to be his girlfriend, or I don't know. I don't really understand him. I think he's playing games because she wasn't his first. And she, probably won't be his last. He's been in and out of trouble since he's been locked up, but he just kept saying he couldn't help himself. He was mesmerized, and, if she was so beautiful, he wouldn't have been attracted to her, so she has nobody to blame but herself. And she was 14, when this happened. And she was tiny, so it wasn't like she was this big, thick. She was, small.
Like a cheerleader.
Yeah, very small frame and stuff. So it wasn't like she had, breasts off the hair, none of it, just a small frame little girl.
Wow. So, I'm sorry. Just hearing some of these stories just kind of not only tear you up, but, it kind of make you angry because you hear stuff like this in the streets all the time or on the news.
Yeah.
But when it appears closer to you, it's like it really does something to your soul. That's terrible. I'm sorry you and her even have to experience that.
Yeah.
So in court, they said that, he was MR, right?
Mentally retarded.
And so did they end up giving him some time?
So what essentially happened is, for rape cases, it can go anywhere from 2 to 5 years. For a murder case, it can go anywhere from 2 to 7 years. And, she was just tired. We had been going back and forth to Markham every month for over a year now. And it was like, when we would go, he was in the front and we would be in the back, and she wants to sit way in the back, but he could still like turn around and look, and he would smirk and wink and doing the whole, like it was almost like a child or something, but he would turn around and look at it, and it was just too much for her, and so she didn't want to go back anymore, and it just told me, Mom asked, can we just take a plea deal? And we took a plea deal for 10 years and life parole. And he did get out once, but he ended up messing up, and he went right back.
Wait a minute.
They can't tell me. The thing is, when it comes to rape cases and stuff, they don't really tell. So even with Marcie, they told me that it was another girl that he supposedly had sexually assaulted right before her, but the other parents ended up moving and didn't want to say nothing because they didn't want, I don't know, and just didn't want to say nothing, and they can't tell you who the names is because they're minors.
Right.
So
y'all took the plea deal. 10
he got
years.
He got out. Not last, but before last. But he wasn't even out a year. And then next thing I know, they called me and they're like, there's a warrant for him. And I'm like, what? Because he wasn't even out there long. And they said that it was the state's police, and they told me that they're going to get him. They're working with Chicago. Flossmoor was also notified, so they knew, and the Flossmoor police said that they were willing to work, and so they said that they were letting the south suburbs know that he was out. So
he got out and did the same exact thing.
I think so, but they can't tell me the details because they don't tell me stuff,
So
but he is back in there.
And this is recently, as of like a year or two ago. Or? Wow. And how did that make you feel?
It angered me because I told them that, from what I hear, a lot of times they don't change. And so during the court trial, what I did find out about this young man is that his brother was in jail in Milwaukee and he was a sex offender. His father was a sex offender. One of his sisters lost her kids to DCFS because she made her sons perform oral sex on her. So it's the whole family. So
whole
maybe,
family sickness.
yes. So I'm thinking maybe the father, or is it a mother, or somebody was doing it to them, and
it just kept going.
or something. It had to be for the whole family to be like that.
That is crazy. Oh my God.
So, yep.
So, I'm sorry. After the court case, so y'all take the plea deal. He get 10 years. How was Marcie coping at the time after all this has taken place?
So once he took his 10 years and he told her, once he, you know, I got a chance to say my victim statement, and then that's when he stood up and he was laughing and he just said, you know, I couldn't help myself, and you know, you have nobody to blame but yourself for what happened to you, because I couldn't help mine. And so she took her life after that because it was too much. So, you know, even like after the rape, Marcie would sit in the tub sometimes for hours just scrubbing herself raw, and I would have to get like Neosporin and stuff and pat her down. And you know, she started not wanting to get her hair did anymore. She would just put her hair in a ponytail. She stopped getting her nails done. She would wear like jogging suits that was way too big for her, and they would have to be the black, dark green, dark blue, you know, really dark colors. She just, you know, didn't want to look feminine at all. It got to a point where she didn't want to come outside, so Homer Flossmoor High School found a therapeutic school in Naperville called The Mansion, and you know, she still had to get her good grades and stuff there, but it was better for her because she was afraid of boys. You know, I couldn't even take her to Walmart or nothing no more. So he really did a lot of damage to her. And then, you know, for him to turn around and tell her it's her fault because he couldn't help himself, that was just too much. That pushed her over the edge.
So how long was it between the trial and before she transitioned out of this world?
A year. Wow. Yep, she was 14 when it happened, 15 when she took her life.
And you just seen her mental just starting to deteriorate.
Yeah, she spiraled down. And we did get her help. So when it first happened, I was referred to Lyra Beatty. When I called Lyra Beatty, they said they didn't have no beds. And then we were told to call the white WCA, but the white WCA had a bunch of older women there. There was nobody there her age. And so they told us about the Rainey Foundation, which was in Matson, and she liked it there because there were young girls her age there that had been through the same thing, so she could go to the groups with them. And because they started out by coming to the house, and then, you know, when she was able, they would have her come and do groups with young girls that had been through the same thing she had been through. And this is, you know, she's still going to court, but she's getting the therapy she needs. And so that was trying to help her, but it's just seeing him every month, and then he's having no kind of remorse. Never has he apologized, no type of remorse. So, you know, it's just like, I don't know.
And then you going into court and you seeing the antics that he's pulling, the looking back, the blowing kisses, winking,
right.
And then the statements he's making, like, this is your fault for looking too good.
Right, and then she was a kid. It wasn't like she wore makeup. You know, when you look at her pictures, you don't have makeup on her pictures. She just has, you know, regular kid pictures.
Was anybody in the courts trying to stop him from even turning around, or
they would tell him to stop, or the judge would say turn back around, stuff like that. But you know, they, like I said, it was them that told me he was MR. And I don't know if that was already in his file because he had been there before. I don't know, but they were the ones that, you know, he's mentally retarded, so that's how they kind of took it as.
That right there, regardless of his status, like that right there, come on, that could be intimidating. And as you see, it started to make her fall back.
Yeah.
It's like reopening a wound every time you got to walk up in there and see this guy that did this horrendous act to her.
Right.
You know, and not only that, she's a child. Right.
Exactly.
And then he's turning around. He's making he's just doing all type of antics and everything, just messing with her. I'm surprised they didn't take him up out the courtroom or put him in another room or something where
you know, they would tell him to stop, and then he'd turn around, and then, you know, next time we see him, he'd turn around and, you know, do it again, and then, you know, It was just, and so she got sad, tired of looking at him, and didn't want to go back. That's why we just ended up taking a plea deal.
Understandably so. She still was a young woman who's still growing. Mind is still, you know what I'm saying, growing, and she wasn't exposed to none of this. And now you're coming to something that you're exposed to that's like damaging, like mentally damaging, physical damage.
This wasn't even like no small dude. He was 300 pounds, like 310 or 300 and some pounds.
So a 300-pound dude out there preying and stalking on young women, and you said
Marcie.
Marcie.
They said he liked girls and boys. So that's why I said she wasn't as far as he either or, girls and boys.
Girls and boys. So he just taking it from
whoever.
And
so maybe his father was doing it to him like that or something. It had to be.
It got to be somebody that's close in the family, you know.
No, he liked to love kids, girls and boys. He didn't want no grown people, just kids.
That right
so
there.
So maybe, I don't know.
That is.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Like, I'm just at a loss for words. Because if the state, the government, whoever, whatever officials, if they did their jobs, this would have never occurred. Especially if they known that he was messing with other children. Why is he still out on the street?
Right.
Where does the law, you know, come into play?
I don't know.
You know, does it matter depending on what? The location of where we at, the color of our skin,
but you know,
what do we depend on?
Though, and that's one of the things I was told, that if Marcie would have lived in Chicago or something, she might not even got no arrest. Everybody, because you know, I've had a lot of people say that there are a lot of little girls and boys get raped in Chicago all the time, and Chicago police does nothing. They barely look for them. There are a lot of kids in Chicago, and then lower urban, you know, lower level income areas, you know, like, you know, Chicago, the projects and stuff, that don't really get no justice at all. So for her to even get justice, they were saying, you know, that's because she lived in Flossmoor. Isn't that something?
Yeah, but I think the thing I don't get is how they keep on allowing this to happen. Like,
right.
Don't do it again. Like, they spank them on the hand and don't do it again. Go back out there and be on your best behavior. You know, so, like, my issue is you're not offering any help on either side, you know, not on your side. And if you know he's been out here doing it over and over and over again, why you don't get him some help? And
so, like, Chicago has a bunch of halfway houses now. Like, the south side and the west side has tons of halfway houses. And I think people are getting halfway houses because you get paid pretty good to house these type of people.
Right.
Because there's a lot of these buildings and stuff in Chicago, but they don't have no programs. They don't have, like, no therapy sessions. They come there, they feed them, they eat. You know, I guess when they go shopping or something, they maybe have a bus or something to take them or whatever else, but they really don't have, like, a lot of stuff for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't like the fact that they put them in Chicago, because that's how all these kids are ending up raped, because it's probably them that's doing it.
Exactly.
But they're not going to put them in Barrington. That's not going to happen. Or they're not going to put them in even Orland or nowhere, because they're not having them out there. So they need to probably, you know, when you're driving and you see all this land, get some land and put them there. That way there's nobody but just them to do it to whatever they do to each other. They have no access to kids in them. And then that's when you start helping them with the therapy and whatever. You know, some probably can be helped, but I don't know about all of them. Because I don't know their stories. I don't even really know his story. I just know his whole family, you know, is like that. So it had to start from either the parents or the grandparents or somebody.
I wonder if any of his people ever went to jail for doing, you know, some of these acts or crimes.
Yeah, I don't know about his parents. I think both his parents are probably deceased now. But I do know his brother is in jail. It's for doing the same thing.
For the same thing.
So him and his brother are both in jail. And his sister, I don't know if they locked her up, but I know DCFS took her kids. So maybe they did lock her up. I don't know. She should have been making her sons perform. You know, who does that?
Yeah.
That's just,
There gotta be somewhere down the line where, like, it's a mental health issue.
Yeah.
Overall, it's a mental health issue.
Big
Who
time.
knows what happened to the parents, or if it was the grandparents,
And
the
that's what I'm saying. We
uncle,
don't know where it
auntie,
started at
you
or
know.
nothing.
But if it's like the whole family,
So it's something.
it's something to somebody that's very close, and it's just I just can't wrap my mind around them not receiving any help out there.
know.
I remember them taking away a lot of the mental health services and things like that that could have played a part. But then at the same time, you know, if it's a list, or if you notice they've been going to jail, or the parents, the brothers, the sisters, everybody's been, you know, getting taken down for this.
It's something.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought in jail they supposed to rejuvenate you. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Like,
You gotta think about a lot of people who commit murders come out and still murder again.
come
so
out and murder once more.
I don't know. I don't know what they do. I've never been in there. And I think one of the things is when they do go to jail, they get a jailhouse mentality. And I think a lot of the criminals get together and they tell each other how to act, how to do this, or what to say. But you know, nowadays, even though we don't go before a parole board no more, we can still email and we can still talk. They will call us, and you know, hey, you know, like before he'll get out. And that's the one thing I can say that's good, that sex crimes, you know, whenever he gets in any trouble, like, you know, I know he's been put in the hospital because they said he's really sick because he's lost a lot of weight, and you know, like he had got beaten and had really bad in there quite a few times and put in the hospital, and they would call and tell me, or like before he gets transferred to another prison or even getting out or whatever, they always let me know. So I always know wherever he's at. They let me know the address to where he is. They let me know what his moves is, like if he has to go to the store or something. The state police and sex crimes, they are pretty good at letting, you know, as long as they know you are good. And then they give you the information. So if you need to talk to the parole board or say, hey, this, that, or the other, they do give us those options now. And the parole board will work with us, even with stuff like that. So you got a lot of parents and stuff that are not pushing, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, in the black community, a lot of times, you know, back in the day, what goes on in my house stays on in my house. So you have a lot of grown women and men too that were probably molested or beaten or some as kids. It might have been a father, it might have been a pastor, it might have been the neighbor, brother, and you know, it was the stigma. We don't get help because they don't want to be labeled as crazy or nothing. But you have a lot of people now that walk around with all that anger, and that's where you come in with all these people that's murdering and kill people and molesting because, you know, we didn't get help and our parents didn't get us no justice, so it must be okay. And it could be that situation with him. Maybe his family just didn't want to get no help because maybe they were the ones doing it. But you have a lot of adults that's walking around here really messed up and got that mindset and really just hateful and angry, you know.
Yeah, that don't say nothing, don't tell nobody nothing. It stays in. If I hear something about it going outside this house, I'm gonna whoop your butt.
Yep. And so that's why you got a lot of, you know, people walking around like that.
So yeah, that's heavy.
And then you still got a lot of people that don't want to see a psychiatrist. I mean, more people are doing it now, but you still got a lot of people that are scared to go out and get, you know, services and stuff.
Yeah, because they think they're going to see a psychiatrist.
They're
or
going to
something.
be labeled or something.
You labeled crazy, or so a lot of people state, I'm not crazy. Ain't nothing wrong with me. Like they push away from therapy due to the stigma attached to it.
Anything can make you sad or depressed. You can lose your job and be like, oh my God, and go through something. And, you know, like right now with everything that's going on with the economy and stuff, you have a lot of people that are losing jobs and, you know, their housing and stuff. So, you know, they're going through stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, you need some kind of help, you know, somebody to talk to or something, you know.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking to change how therapy looks towards us. Instead of, you know, calling it therapy, I call it mental improvement, because everybody wants to improve. Nobody wants to decline, you know.
Exactly.
But if you say, hey, go to mental therapy, I'm not crazy. I'm not going to no therapy. I'm not going to tell folks about my problems. Why would I do that, you know? But if you approach them with like, go to a mental improvement counseling, a mental improvement coaching. Everybody want to improve and get up out that mud that they stuck in,
It's so many people going through stuff, and
yes.
you never know what's going on in somebody's house. You know what I'm saying? You might walk past, they might have the white picket fence. You might think, oh my God, beautiful house, and they might be being beat or something on the inside, or you might go past the project like, oh, it's disgusting over here, but then they may have a great house. So we don't know. It's just that even when it comes to our youth and stuff. And, one thing about our culture is that a lot of times, a lot of the parents want celebrities and artists to be like the parent, like, be role models. And that's not what they're paid to do. They're paid to entertain, not raise your kids. So we got to get back to us raising our kids and uniting and coming together, and we're at a place right now where we're just separated. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. A lot of parents don't want to be parents to their kids. They want to be more so the friends, the best friends, like, let's hang out, let's do this. They don't even have the same respect from when we was growing up.
Right.
It's more so like, I'm going to talk to you like my friend, and if I disagree with whatever, guess what? I'm going to go rogue on you. So on the night, that Marcie left us, did you notice anything different?
So when it was after the case and everything, I knew I was just full of rage too that what had happened, but I was glad it was over with. I had started doing laundry that day, and I was up and downstairs doing laundry, and I kept asking, hey, do you want me to make you something to eat? And she kept saying, no, I'm not hungry right now. And I said, well, just let me know if you want me to make you something to eat. And at the time, wasn't nobody there but just me and her. And so I was doing laundry, so, to keep my mind, going and everything. And then about maybe 10, 11 or so, she had asked me to come upstairs and run her some bath water. And she liked it, oh my God, lavender oil and chamomile.
That relaxing mix. Okay.
So I had put the oils in there and made her some bath water, and then once it was done, I told her it was dirty. So she went in, and she was in the tub for about an hour, and I kept asking, hey, you okay? And because I know she was sitting there sometimes just scrubbing herself. And so she says, I'm okay, Mom. And I said, okay. So I asked her again, you want me to cook while you're in the tub? So she said no. So she got out, and I had took out her pajamas, the little pink and white. I think it was, it had cats on it. I don't forget what the name of the cats was, Hello Kitty or somebody, and put it on the bed for her. And then when, she had got dressed, I could hear her upstairs. I don't know what she was doing. And I asked her again, do you want something? She said, no, Mom. So I said, okay. So then about 11 or 12, I laid down, and then she came downstairs and said, can I lay down with you? And I said, yeah. And it wasn't nothing different about that, because after the sexual assault, she started sleeping with me all the time because she'd be scared to sleep upstairs in her room.
Yeah.
So I said, no, come on. And she laid down with me, and then maybe about 4 or 5, well, my neighbor had gave us puppies. They had gave us a miniature pinchers, and for her being on the honor roll. And so he was in the bed with us, and he was like a little bitty puppy at the time, and then she was on the side. So, the bed had got wet, and I'm like, oh my God, Marcie, your dang on dog done peed in my bed. And so she didn't say nothing, so I got up at 6, and when I got up, I tried to wake her up, and I couldn't wake her up. I said, Marcie, wake up, and I couldn't wake her up. And then once again, I said, Marcie, wake up, and nothing happened. So I'm like, Marcie, and there's still nothing happening. So I pull her up, and, her head is, like just wobbling, and I started screaming for my son, and, because I couldn't see her face, though I'm visually impaired, and I'm screaming, hey, there's something wrong with Marcie, come look. And when my son came, he looked around the banister, and he says, Mom, call 911. And as I'm calling 911, I'm like, there's something wrong with my daughter, I can't wake her up. And the chief at the time was Keith Taylor. He was the first one at my house, and he laid her on the floor and started working on her. And when he started working on her, I had my gown, so I'm grabbing my house shoes. Then I went in the bathroom, I washed my face, and I brushed my teeth. I came back, I hear the paramedics saying we got the EMTs, I'm sorry, said we got to rush her to the hospital. So I told my son, I got to rush, we going to the hospital. And they told me to ride in the front, and they'll be in the back with her. And my son like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. Um, and as we're getting to the hospital, Dr. Moore and the nurses, they just grabbed her and they ran towards the emergency room that way. And I was trying to run it, but I almost fell. And the nurse grabbed me and said, we're going to go around this way. So she took me around this way, and then she just said, have a seat here, and I'll go see what's going on. And she went back there, and then she came back a few minutes later and said, the doctor needs you to start calling your family members. And, like I said, this is, 6 o'clock in the morning, it's happening. I didn't bring a purse. I didn't have my phone or nothing with me. And so she said, give me some numbers. And I gave her my sister's number, my niece's numbers. And so she says, I'll call for you. And I said, okay. And then I said, well, is she okay? Do she need surgery or anything? And they're like, let me see. And so, yeah, she,
So this was, and this happened in Flossmoor. And what hospital was this?
South Suburban. Yeah, right up the street. So she said, let me see. And I think she knew and just didn't want to say nothing. So she came back after she talked to my sister and them and said, your family members are on the way. And I said, once they go, what's wrong with Marcie? Is she okay? And she says, well, I'm going to go get the doctors and them and see what they're saying. And so they waited a few minutes, and then they came and they said, come on, we need to talk to you. Can you come here with us? And so I got up and I'm walking, and it was three. It was a doctor and the nurse, and it was a third person. And when we got in the room, the third person informed me they was a chaplain, and nothing is still dying on me that there's a chaplain, and they got me in this room. Yeah. And I'm studying, saying, well, what's wrong with Marcie? Does she need surgery? Is she in a coma? Let me know, because you just, you're thinking, what the heck? And he says, I'm sorry to tell you this, Miss Gerald. He said, this is one of the hardest parts of my job. And he told me she expired, and he says, we did everything we could. And I just was like in a twilight zone, like.
And that right there just,
I'm like, this can't be happening. What the heck happened? She went to sleep and
never woke up.
Right. And
that right there must have took you to a place like,
yeah,
everything just, you didn't hear nothing. It was
I was sitting there
out.
Just like, I don't know, it just was like in disbelief. And I'm like, well, can I see her? And they said, yeah. And they took me back there, and they said I couldn't hug her or I couldn't kiss her or nothing because they still had to do a full autopsy on her. And she's just laying there like she's sleeping, and it didn't seem real to me. And then my sister and them, they got up in there, and they're like, what happened? And I didn't know, and
it was like
it was just weird. I couldn't, and well, they said we could stay there until the coroner got there, and they said normally it takes hours. It took them in, I think, maybe 20, 25 minutes, and they said they never moved that fast. And I'm like, wow. And they asked us to step out the room, and I seen him. He opened up a book, and he was writing some stuff down in the book, and he took the thing out, and I seen him put something around her toe, and they're like, that's a toe tag. I'm like, what? And he pulled another like little bed thing around, and I seen like a maroon color the bag. Yeah. And I said, don't put her in there. And then I tried to run back in there to make him stop, and they had to turn me around. And by the time I was able to get loose, he was already gone.
That right there hits pretty hard. That hits pretty hard. Wow. I would, I lost a child, but I lost a child to heart surgery. I know the pain of losing a child, but to see that and feel it, and to, you never can fully explain a parent's pain,
No.
towards seeing that and just seeing your child just willed away.
But I mean, they got her in and out of there before I even was able to turn back around. He moved so fast, it was like lightning. I mean, they turned me around, and because I didn't want him to put her in the bag and zip it up, and it's like, no, don't put her in that. It just. And when I had her, and they laid her on my chest, she peed on me. She was like in the fetal position, and she peed on me. And when she died, the same thing. She had her chest on me, and the same, and she peed on me when she died. And that's something, because I thought it was a dog, but it was Marcie.
So around that time, she probably was
And I didn't know.
transitioning.
Yep, and I didn't know it was her. I thought it was a dog that did it, because the puppy, you know.
Yeah. And that was the first thought because, like you said, the puppy was laying in between y'all. So,
And I thought it was him that did it, but it was her. She peed on me.
what did they say was the cause?
She ended up taking the bottle of Tramadol the hospital gave her.
For the pain?
Yeah, and they gave her Tramadol because the rape was so bad. Her ovaries and uterus had swollen to the point where she could walk. So she was actually in the hospital, you know, and her ovaries and uterus was swollen.
How long did they keep her in the hospital?
A couple of days.
And they gave her the medication and
Yeah, and when she came home, they prescribed it because she was still like bent over and limping and stuff. And
so when you was going up and down the stairs, that's probably when she took it and possibly took too many.
I think what she did was, I think she had when he told her it was her fault, that she was too beautiful and he couldn't help himself, and it was her fault. I think she made up her mind then because it was too much. And when she came home, she waited because she figured wouldn't nobody be there, and she took her bath. And then maybe she waited till she knew I was laying down. And she took him and then came downstairs and laid down and went to sleep and just never woke up again, is what I'm thinking. And then when I was looking up like some of the, you know, like if you overdose on that, she didn't have a seizure or nothing. She just went to sleep and didn't wake up no more. Nothing. She peed, but other than that, nothing.
And that usually happens when people start to transition. They lose control of their bowels and have that last.
Pee, yeah.
Yeah. So after this happened, I'm pretty sure you're in a family in disbelief. You know, your other children, sisters, nieces, nephews.
Yeah.
Everybody's in disbelief about what happened. You're in pain. Mental pain.
I think I was just physically not even there. I mean, because I think I couldn't even tell my son, and my sister had to tell him.
Yeah. So.
And then her friends found out because my neighbors seen us leaving, and they came by to figure out what happened. Well, my neighbors, a lot of people seen when we was in the ambulance leaving, and they came to see what had happened. They told the neighbors, so it got around pretty quick, and I got a lot of support because all the neighbors, even the school, was notified, and school called and they let all the parents know. So I got a lot of support, but I just wasn't there mentally. It didn't seem real.
Yeah.
It was too much, and I think one of the first things I said is that I'm going to kill this nigga.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just go to IDOC, to wherever he was. I think if I could have got him, I think I'd have killed him. Because I just had all that anger and that rage in me at that time.
I mean, that pain of losing a child, especially the way that you lost your daughter, and especially what happened to her. You know, the way that it happened, you know, dealing with the court system, you know, the rage and the pain and everything that you must have felt is rightfully so.
Yeah.
So I hear that you were surrounded by community after this happened.
Yeah, I
from
mean,
the schools to
one thing I
neighbors
can say is I know they say Chicago didn't help, but the Flossmoor Police Department, the EMTs, the firefighters, my neighbors, I just had nothing but love and support. They took turns coming by my house. You know, the school, her teachers, even the teachers from the school in Naperville, her friends, their parents. I got a lot of support. I really did through the whole thing. From the start to finish, you know, I got a lot of support because even after the sexual assault, he had affiliations with, oh my God, the GDs, the Larry Hoover gang, GDs or who, they would drive past my house just to make sure, because he had threatened, I guess told he was going to have them come by if we towed or something, and so the Flossmoor police, they would drive by and, you know, just to make sure nothing was going on or whatever else, they would call, y'all okay? So I really got a lot of support. I did.
All right, we're going to take a moment to take a quick break. You are tuning in to Community Post with Elizabeth Gerald. Remember, this is a very, very sensitive subject about suicide. If anyone you know, or if you yourself have any issues, problems, need someone to talk to, that's help closer than you know, all you have to do is call or text 988. Help is at the end of the line.
Join us for this insightful story about the events leading to a young teenager's suicide, told by a torn mother, Elizabeth Gerald, in hopes of helping others avoid similar tragedies. Who Was Marcie is a movie that doesn't just recount tragedy, but also explores grief, memory, and the perspective of a mother trying to make sense of her daughter's loss. Stories like this often serve two purposes. They memorialize the person who was lost, and they open up conversations about mental health, family bonds, and the silent struggles young people face. Look for it on Tubi, YouTube, and Amazon Video.
Welcome back to Community Posts, where here we bring the posts back into the community. Today, I have with me Elizabeth Gerald, founder of the MJG movement. And we're sharing a story about her daughter who has transitioned from suicide. So, Elizabeth, I have to ask, what helped you get out of that dark moment you was in after Marcie transitioned? What helped you and your family?
One of the things is I did have a lot of support. I had a lot of community support, and that was the biggest things. And then I watched my husband grieve himself to death, and I still have other children, and I couldn't just let myself go because I still got them. If something happened to me, I grieve myself to death, then who's going to be here for them? So, you know,
along with the community, like with the police, the fire department helping you out.
What
the
essentially
school.
started happening was the news and media had started reaching out to me because my daughter's funeral was really, it was packed, and it was, you know, a lot of people came, and you know, was in the Homewood Journal and the Flossmoor journals, and then like the other papers and stuff. And you know, you have a lot of people that live out here that works for different magazines and stuff, so they started reaching out to me wanting to do talk about suicide in the Black community, and that started helping me. And what would happen is every time I would do an interview, somebody would reach out to me and tell me their story and say thank you because you're helping me.
And did these stories start to help you to heal?
Yeah,
you know,
and knowing so many people, and it wasn't just adults. I mean, I would have teenagers DMing me saying, I heard you on the radio, or I just read you in this magazine or that magazine, and it really helped, and I thank you. And you know, then came the documentary, and after my documentary dropped, it broke records. It got over 40,000 views in like 3 days.
Oh, wow. So,
and I'm not like an Oprah, or that's something they expect for somebody like Oprah or Tyler Perry or somebody. And for it to be, you know, me telling my story, it broke records because nobody thought it would do that. And
so
I had more people then reaching out like, thank you, and this is what happened to me, and seeing you overcome. And, you know, then it's like, I am Marcie, and so many more people, just tons and tons of people just started reaching out telling me thank you.
So after everything happened, you created the documentary. Can you share the name of the documentary again?
Who Was Marcie? Marcie. Who Was Marcie?
Who Was Marcie? And is it somewhere, where can people find it if they wanted to view the documentary?
It's on Tubi and Netflix, and then I also put it on YouTube as well for people who don't have those type of things, because there's a lot of seniors that be on YouTube and don't have
They don't
like
have
Netflix.
Tubi or don't know how to download
Yeah,
it.
don't know how to
And, you know,
download
gotta
it. So it's
call
on
their
YouTube as
grandson.
well. They can Google it and it'll come up on the different forums and on. And one thing that's really interesting, it's on Afroland, which is in Africa, and then it's also in China too. So it's on 3 different continents: China, America, and Africa.
So it's international. Hey, that's something that's greatly needed. You like more resources. You need to hear more folks' stories. So it's a lot of folks out there that feel like they walking alone.
Yeah.
And, you know, they feel like they're the only one that's been through something as
Right.
tragic as this is.
Right.
So, you know, that's love.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
love.
just thankful for the support because me being a black woman talking about this, I didn't think nobody would really care because these are stigmas and taboos. And, you know, I started MJG movement in order to help and bring awareness and, you know, let people know that they are loved and that they are wanted and that there is light at the tunnel, and to share Marcie's story. So, you know, for me, when I started, I just said, ugh, it's not going to really do nothing, but to know that I have a documentary on 3 different continents, you know, it's just mind-blowing to me.
And while you spreading awareness, can you tell the folks out there listening, what are some of the signs that they can notice for someone else that may be dealing with their child or their brother or anyone that may be going through the same journey that you and Marcie have?
Isolation. So let's say perhaps you guys usually would have dinner or family time, and they no longer wants to do that. They'll start dissing themselves and maybe coming home from school and being in a room by themselves. That's one of the big ones. Dark colored clothes, big clothes, because sometimes they can be cutters. Cutters always wear long sleeves and, you know, big clothes. Those are some of the main things. And then you also have like, they're just, I don't know, it's like the slightest thing, they might have mood swings. They might just start crying for no reason or, you know, just getting angry. Like they might, you know, slamming doors and, you know, things that you probably might think, oh, it's just teenage stuff or stuff like that. Those are all really big signs. But the isolation is really one of the biggest signs that it is, because something can happen and, you know, they may feel that they can't tell anyone there, and you know, they may be getting bullied, and you know, with social media and all these different avenues, a lot of bullying goes on, and you know, sometimes they go to school, and sometimes the kids may not have nicer clothes than some kids, and they may be getting made fun of because their clothes may not be nice. So it's little stuff like that. The little thing that normally you would think just teenage stuff can be something, you know, going on.
So a lot of times it's opposite of the person they usually are. So if they're happy-go-lucky, smiling, singing, dancing, maybe joking around, and
They're
now
not that no more, right?
yeah, now you're stuck in the room. You're not talking, don't want to eat.
And then sometimes they become secretive, like, you know, they may be online and, you know, you have so many sites for these kids and, you know, that they can get on, and, you know, you may come in a room or something and then they may jump off and log off because they don't want you to see what's going on. You know, that's one of the main ways the predators get these kids, because even through their games, like the different games they play on the PlayStation
Like
and stuff
Roblox,
now.
Minecraft,
But Roblox,
Fortnite.
really, they say there are a lot of pedophiles on Roblox and getting these kids, and, you know, so it's ways you don't even think about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
And sometimes they talk to the little girls and say, hey, I'm your friend. And, you know, you see all these missing kids, and sometimes it be them that's luring the kids somewhere and they take them and, you know, do what God knows what. And then you find a lot of them are coming up dead because, you know, it could be that they've gotten to somebody and they don't want them to know who they are, because the person could be married with a family, or it could just be a sick person that just has a fantasy in killing people. It's just so much going on. It's so, you just really got to monitor their social media, even like their DMs, because there's also something called sexting, which, so like in Africa and stuff, these girls, I don't know if it's AI or whatever, but they'll DM young men and they'll portray like they are interested in, like they're dating or something. Sometimes the boy's 14, 15, you see a real pretty girl, you think, oh, she likes me. And what'll happen is the girl may act like she's showing herself, and when the boy is, she'll ask him to show himself. And when he does, they screenshot it and take a picture, and then they'll send him the picture, and they'll say, if you don't send us money for this or money for that, then we're going to send it to the police. We're going to put it all over the internet, and you're going to go to jail. So I know people that are losing their sons. A lot of young boys are now taking their lives at a higher rate because of that too. And people don't know this is going on. So there's so much that's going on with this internet.
Because it's a lot of scammers out there. And that's why we as parents have to talk to our children.
Yes.
We have to talk to our children. Stop leaving them isolated. Stop acting like you can't talk to them. Stop acting like you bothering them from playing the game or whatever they may doing. Get and stay in your children's life.
Yes.
Because they can grow out to be something else, and you'll say, I didn't raise them that way. I didn't teach them how to act this way. I didn't teach them how to do these things. That's because somebody else on the other side may be teaching, talking, or trying to get them to act a certain way. So get and stay inside your kids' life, even if they're not your kids. You know, what we're missing is that each one teach one.
Yeah, the community. That's what I was saying. We gotta start uniting, because coming up, it was the neighbors. I mean, whoever was outside, you had to be home when the street lights came on, and nowadays we don't have that. We don't have that structure no more.
And that's missing. So for the folks that's watching, if someone is going through this actively, right, and they feel like they can't reach out to anyone, is it any advice or any information that you can give, that any numbers, websites, emails that people could reach out to in order to receive help, whether they want it or, they want to do it in a private way?
Yeah, well, you can, like you said, the 988. But the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, they have numbers. The website is American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They are actually one of the biggest suicide, prevention organizations it is. And they have resources, and they're nationwide. They're the biggest one to call because they're in every state.
Okay.
And they have chapters in Chicago. They have chapters everywhere.
And what kind of resources they provide?
American Foundation.
Yes.
Pretty much everything.
Okay.
Everything. What I will say is, a lot of times people of our color don't really call them. They'd rather talk to their friends or somewhere. They are one of the biggest organizations, but when I go do the suicide walks and stuff, I don't really see a lot of us there. I see other places more so than us, but they are the biggest ones.
Because suicide to us is a taboo.
Yeah.
We reportedly don't do that, and even if we do,
and we do it, and suicide is very high in ours. We actually have a higher rate than a lot of other people, and we don't talk about it, and that's what the problem is. And you can always DM me on Facebook. I'm Elizabeth Gerald TF for Team Family. I have a IG, which is _MJG Movement. And I can actually tell them, because if it's in a different state or something, I can tell them where to go.
And what's your email again?
My email or my IG?
Your email and your IG.
Okay,
plug all your information. Let these folks know.
My Facebook is Elizabeth Gerald, which is Gerald. Then there's a TF, and it's my actual comic book. So it's not my face, it's a comic book.
Look at that. She got a comic book. Hold on. We're going to get to it.
Picture. You can DM me on there. I have an IG, which is _MJG Movement, and it's, again, my comic book. My email is mjgmovement@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it. You got my IG and everything else.
And there's still a way to reach out.
You can always DM me, and I'll help as much as I can.
So if you're not comfortable with reaching out to another organization, feel free to reach out to Elizabeth. She's cool, calm, collective, down to earth. And I'm not just saying that because she's sitting right here, but I'm saying that because, her spirit is amazing. So feel free to reach out if you do or have any thoughts of suicide, or if you know anybody that may have any thoughts of suicide. This is Community Post. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Proactive Community Services. Today we're excited to show you our newly converted mobile testing unit. This van is more than just a vehicle, it's a beacon of hope and help for our community. As you can see, our mobile unit is fully equipped to bring essential health services directly to you. It's equipped with the latest technology to provide confidential and comprehensive testing for HIV, hepatitis C, and STIs. Step aside, and you'll find a welcoming and professional environment designed with your comfort and privacy in mind. Let's take a closer look. Here we have our testing area, where trained professionals conduct tests with the utmost care and confidentiality. The space is designed to ensure that you feel at ease throughout the entire process. Our dedicated staff is here to guide you through every step of the testing process, answer any questions you might have, and provide support. We're proud to offer this vital service to our community. If you're interested in learning more about our mobile testing unit or would like to schedule a visit, please contact us at www.pcsil.org. Thanks for watching, and remember, Proactive Community Service is here to support you every step of the way.
Welcome back to Community Posts, where I have the lovely Miss Elizabeth Gerald, where we're talking about a lovely daughter who have transitioned from suicide. Before we left, we was learning information about how to reach out just in case you or anybody you love have any thoughts about suicide. Some of the resources, which if you're not able to reach out to those resources, reach out to the lovely Miss Elizabeth Gerald, and she'll try to help any and every way that she can. Before we go, I do want to talk just a quick second about your comic book.
Okay.
You know, can you please tell the folks what's the name of your comic book and a little bit of what's this about?
It's Marcie's Marvels. My daughter's a superhero, and she's saving, the little kids that are going through. She works with the police, and she's saving the little kids like a Supergirl.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's a teenager, and she goes to high school about during the day, and she's flying around Chicago, helping the little kids that are being bullied or being hurt or anything bad going on with them, and she helps save them.
And it's called Marcie Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we'll be dropping a third one soon.
So it's 2 out already.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like episode 1 and 2, or how do you say it?
Yep, it's comic book 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then we'll be dropping a third one soon.
And tell the folks how can they reach you to get a copy of your book, of the comic books?
DM me on Facebook or my social media, or email me.
All right, let them know one more time.
Elizabeth Gerald, Gerald, and then it's a TF for Team Family, and it's my comic book picture. IG is _MJG Movement, and my email is mjgmovement@gmail.com.
Yeah, I heard it here, folks. I thank you for coming through.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, feel free to come through and bless this space. You are amazing.
Thank you.
Please continue to keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. They don't know that you're a superhero to our community, so so you are a marvel yourself.
Thank you.
So thank you for continuing to pour your heart out, continue to bless folks, continue to push folks up out of that darkness, and helping them to see the light.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate you
and
all that
appreciate
you
being
do.
here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. And this has been another episode of Community Post, where we try to bring the post back into the community. I am Martinez Sutton, and we out.